Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. Shavua Tov V'Vorach. We're learning the month of Tevis. What's that? Thank you. I'm happy to be here. In the month of Tevis, we're learning Leilui Nishmas Levi Ben Yosef and Leilui Nishmas Bas Yefega Bas Yisrael. Today, we have a fascinating shiur. Today's topic, as I sent it out, deals with the concept of, as you see in the title that's in front of you in the middle of the page, Ahavat ha'orim le'yeladim bederech klal eina mushlemet. And this is supposed to make us feel good. What this means is that generally speaking, the love that parents have for children is not complete, or it's not perfect, or it's not like we really ideally want it to be. You could translate that word mushlemet better after the shiur. Even hopefully everyone will have their own perush for it. What we spoke about until now was two different levels of parenting, which was one is the love. When a baby is born, you just naturally love the child because that's what Hashem planted in our, Baruch Hashem, in our human condition, is this inyan of ahava that gets expressed right when a baby's born. Like, what is it the baby does that makes you feel that love the moment they're born? What does a child do? Other than be. There's no chinuch that takes place. I mean, a mother or a father that starts telling the baby, shh, shh, when it's born and it starts crying, meshuganas, right? And hopefully I don't know anybody that does that. But there's this natural embedded love that takes place at the moment, and really even before that as well, even before the moment the baby's born, but obviously when baby's born, comes out so strong. Then we have the whole world of chinuch, which we spoke about for the last 2 weeks. Chinuch, education, this chiyuv, this obligation that we have upon ourselves. And we discussed how without love being number one, chinuch has no chance of being number two. Without love being that which is always at the forefront, even when in times where there has to be discipline and rules and gderot and borders, if there's no love, we likened it to that hole in the mashpech, a hole in the funnel, where all that you want to give over to the kid gets lost. It slips through a hole, it slips through a crack, it doesn't get there. It doesn't get anywhere. So these were the first basic, like this is how we've been discussing the last few weeks of ahava and then chinuch, and the need for it to be in that order. And without that order, there's a pashut lo yelech. Yes, Mindy.
I'm sorry. This is everything I say sounds weird at the beginning, I know. When a baby cries and we pick it up and we try to discern, is this a cry of a diaper or a cry of hunger type of thing, we're also teaching the baby that they can trust us.
Beautiful.
There's a chinuch thing.
Beautiful. Definitely, something important, vital is going on, but if it's not stemming from, well, first of all, that wasn't weird at all, what you just said. Not for you. At all. That is not weird. May this be the setting of this week. May it be a weird week like the way that you just said. A very not weird. What's that?
This be the weirdest
Mamash. I'm up for a really weird week like this. Bezrat Hashem. For sure. It still doesn't negate what he was giving over in terms of how you, like the natural parenting that comes out the moment the baby's born. Everyone wants to be the perfect parent. Everyone wants to be like the dreams that we had when we were teenagers, even little kids about, I'm going to be that type of Abba, that type of Ima. Everyone wants that. Obviously, the question comes up and when we realize, wait a second, I'm not that. I'm not what? I'm not my the visions I had of a child before they actually had to be a parent. It's just like a person can be totally infatuated with an imagery of what it would have been like to be with that man or that woman, right? Before you ever had to have an actual relationship with them. When there's no obligations and there's no demands and there's no things that are like pulling pieces out of us. But in our minds, It's like, oh man, with them, it would be, I'm sure, none of this would come up. How do we know any of this until you're in the relationship? There's no way to know. Not that people are so different when you're in a relationship with them, it's just that a lot of other sides come to the surface. It's like this all the time in every relationship. A lot of people say, if only I was that person's student. I've heard that, if only I learned by that person. You don't know what the full picture would be like when you're learning under that person, what it would be like, how you'd feel, certain sides you'd see from the teacher when you'd spend more than just 3-minute YouTube intimate moments with the person. You don't know, right? Now, Hanan has a great song about this. Which one was it? Aluf Haolam. What's that song? If you spend time with the words, that song talks about how he didn't live. He basically. I'm sure there's pardes. It's like Pshat Remez Josh Sod with him because he's so out there. But in that song, the discussion is very much when he speaks about the whole text of that song is talking about I'm alufa olam in what? In realizing that I didn't end up being bichlal, that person that I thought I would be as a father and as a husband, obviously, right? And then b'chol zot ani aluf olam belipol velakum kmo gadol. So when it comes to parenting, this stuff could mamish mess with us. Mamish mess with us, because any aspiring person, can get caught with, wow, I cannot believe that this is the parent that I am, and I can't believe I'm not feeling this. Yeah, it's hard to feel this when you're completely sleep deprived and have so many chores and responsibilities, and also you become not the center anymore. There's like a whole nother world. Then there's another whole nother world, Bezrat Hashem. Then there's a whole nother world. Then there's a whole nother world. And then you start saying, and now that kid's not getting what that kid deserves. The whole picture of what would seem to be Tmuna Mushlemet fades away pretty quickly. And I would say, Baruch Hashem. And the earlier that fades away, the better it is. Just you have to have the tools to understand how to deal with it. Or we could start by giving over to our children the way that they see parenting at home, to give them the tools to start dreaming differently when they're younger. Not to make them give up on love, chas v'shalom, God forbid, but to make them dream about real emes dika, pnimis dika love, which is nothing like, well, not nothing, but it's very different than either two things. One, just natural dreams that we have when we're younger, and two, Hollywood, which is everywhere. Nachon. Okay, so we need a lot of patience for today's year. It's going to tug on some, not that the others haven't tugged on some, sensitive chords, especially last week, but it'll tug on some sensitive chords. Have some patience for yourself with this. Like, everyone needs mamish self-compassion with a ratzon to grow, and then you could basically do anything. So you have Daf Chav Bet in front of you. Rav Schwartz begins like this. אתה נבאר בסייעתא דשמיא את הסיבות המצויות לאי שילוב האהבה בחינוך. We're going to find some reasons where love doesn't pop up in the chinuch that we want it to be in. ובעומק יותר, נעסוק בסיבות הגורמות לחוסר גילוי האהבה בין ההורים לילדים. We'll also deal with reasons which cause a lack of a revelation of love between parents and children. על מנת לבאר את הדברים בהרחבה, we're going to go deep into this, נתבונן תחילה בשני דברים הנוגעים לאהבה של ההורים לילדים. We're going to look at two different things. It speaks about love from parents to children. תחילה נשאל את עצמנו, what we just said in the beginning, we're going to ask ourselves a very obvious question. האם יש הורה שאינו אוהב את ילדיו? Is there a parent that doesn't love their children? So התשובה הברורה היא, the clear answer is, הקדוש ברוך הוא טבע בנפש כל אדם את האהבה שלו לילדיו. ואם כן, לא קיימת תופעה שההורה אינו אוהב את בניו, את ילדיו. הקדוש ברוך הוא טבע. Over here, טבע means embedded. So the Ribono Shel Olam embedded in the soul of every person. So I was trying to figure out if this means Hashem's love for his children or a person's innate love for his children. And then I realized there's no difference between the two. Therefore, and I just want you to remember that love, that natural love that's embedded in you, in me, Bezrat Hashem, that I believe with all my heart and soul is that nekuda of love that Hashem has. It's a taste. It's a tiny bit of love that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has for his children, which is the most powerful thing in the world. I'll share with you another thing just because I mentioned his name. 2 years ago, there was a very, very special man. I had the privilege of meeting him a few times. It was his yard site last week. 2 years ago, his name was Itamar Perlman. Itamar Perlman lived in Pardes Chana. If any of you have hung out in Pardes Chana, there's the whole Chevra there, the Chamama. Chevra, the daven together. It's a very, very special and unique place. And I was there a few times, and I spent a little bit of time with him. And he passed away, and he wasn't he didn't have a chutzah. He could have been a huge Rebbe. He wasn't. He was like mamish, like a guru. A holy, holy, holy guru. Holy guru. Remember the last time I saw him, he said to me, he found out that I had something to do with these Sfarim of Rav Shlomo, so he said to me, I should be kissing your toes right now. Like, and he was a much older man, and he wasn't trying to be cute. He really wanted to express something. He was very real, very right. He wasn't like, didn't try to hide. Mamash, what you saw is what was there. So he was very, very close to Hanan. Hanan was very, very close to him. So he told me once that for half an hour, I think, they looked into each other's eyes and didn't say a word. And after that half an hour, this Itamar said to him, whatever love you're feeling right now that's coming from me is the tiniest, tiniest, tiniest percentage of what in truth the love that Hashem has for you. And he said that targil was like life-changing for him. So because we have a lot of hardships in life and difficulties, we're not sure that Hashem loves us all the time. We're really not. As much as we say that, we believe it, but we're not so sure. We look at our bag, we look at our pekalach, and we're not so sure Hashem loves us all the time. It's okay, it's part of the game. It's part of the whole game we're in. It's fine. I mean, it's not fine. No one should feel like that, but I'm saying it's going to happen. It happens. So I think that we have to first understand there is something natural that's embedded in us, that we have love displayed for our children, and it's regardless of how good or bad of a person we were up until the moment we first had a child. That is embedded in the nefesh of a person. But now another question. Ata nitbonen b'sheila nosefet. Hayim yesh hore she'ahava shlo le'yaladav hina muchletet? Is there a parent whose love for their child is muchletet? You know what that means? Absolute. What would be a better word over here?
Unconditional is what we use in English.
Yeah, but that's not it. That's not so much it. Muchletet. I think absolute. Yeah, but I think absolute would be the closest, but it means more than that. That's why sometimes the translations only are a little bit limiting. But for now, let's go with that word. Okay? Is it? Could be. Yechol liyot. So is there a parent that their love for their child is muchlat, just absolute? Let's check it. נוכל לבדוק זאת בצורה מאוד פשוטה. כל הורה לילדים נתקל מדי פעם במקרים בהם הצורך של ילדיו מתנגש עם הצורך האישי שלו. It happens sometimes that your needs and your child's needs מתנגשים. You know what that means, right? They להתנגש literally means you crash, right? מתנגשים אחד בשני. I have a shiur to go to. I have a meeting to go to. I have a job to do. I have whatever it is I need to do. and my child decided today to not feel good. Or you fill in the blank. Today my child decided to break their arm in school. Chas v'shalom. Anyone been there before? Today they have, right? Yeah. Today it happened, right? But I had my whole Seder Yom, and v'chule, I had my Seder. So he says over here, וכאן, ההורה צריך לשאול את עצמו, איזה צורך גובר? האם צורכי הילד או צרכיו האישיים? A parent has to ask, well, whose needs are stronger? Whose needs come first? Mine or my child's? So you're thinking, what's the question, right? Or no? You're not thinking that? Sorry?
You don't even have to ask.
מה השאלה? What do you mean? So it's great. I had a whole thing planned for myself. זה לא הולך. Doesn't happen. התשובה הברורה לכך היא, פעמים שההורה מעדיף את הצורך של הילד, ולעיתים יעדיף ההורה את הצורך העצמי שלו. He says, if you're being honest with yourself, sometimes the parent will obviously prefer, meaning ma'adif, they would bless you. They will look at the need of the child and say that comes first. And sometimes a parent will say, no, my needs come first. Okay, so just check this out. What does it mean that my needs come first? That my child's sick, but I need to have coffee with my friend? That's an extreme example. What's a much more mundane example, or something that you could probably connect to more with this? What's that? Even more. The work also. Yeah. כאילו, דברים מאוד, no, I'm glad you said, like, דברים מאוד בסיסיים, we're not trying to go too deep over here, just basic needs, right? You'll wait. I have to do this now. And my last thought, you'll wait. Another example would be, let's say, my child's need is for them to right now receive unconditional love like never before. My need is for them to mamish shut up. Okay, so whose need, you understand on a need level, right? So what do I need? I need them to be, I just need them to be, I need that, to be quiet right now. They need right now a different type of chinuch. Not hefker, but a different type of chinuch. So we said before, what's even the question? Of course my child's needs always come before mine. Sometimes that's not exactly how it works. The need, what they really need right now is not for me to tell them to shut up, or, I mean, not with that language, but it's not for me to force quiet on them, because that's what needs to be happening right now. So there's a hitnakshut, there's tension. And this does happen. It comes up in many different ways, shapes and forms. It does. Look how he continues here. הורה שאינו מרגיש, in the second to bottom paragraph, in the middle, הורה שאינו מרגיש כי לפעמים הוא מעדיף את הצורך שלו על פני צורכי הילד, הרי שבמילים פשוטות הוא אינו מודע לעצמו. It's so true. A parent doesn't feel that sometimes they prefer, they have their own wants and needs that override the child's need at that moment. He says simply, you're not really aware of yourself. You're not really conscious and in tune with what's really happening, what's really going on. This doesn't mean you don't have the aspiration to be that perfect parent that's always there knowing exactly what to say at every given moment. That ratzon could still be there, but it's not necessarily the way that it pans out. הדוגמאות בזה הן רבות. Now, he gives an interesting example that based on your facial expressions or laughter, I'll see if this relates to you, because no one would want to admit the following. הדוגמאות בזה הן רבות. לפעמים קורה שיש ממתק אחד בלבד בבית. Whatever it is, the chocolate stash, the lollipop, whatever it is, that one thing you saved from Shabbos that you were waiting to take with you to work or school or shiur Sunday morning, and then you come to the fridge Sunday morning and you can't find it. As your kids get older, this happens. Letting you know. I know, Elisa, it doesn't seem like that's even begeder efsha right now where your kids are at. Eventually they do get taller and open fridges, and I don't know, Meira's there already, but she's there already. Okay. So these things happen. Okay. האם בכל פעם שהילד צריך דבר מסוים, ההורים אינם מתנצלים ונותנים לו כל מה שהוא צריך? Is it that when every single time a kid thinks they need something, the parents give them everything they want? מה פתאום? כל הורה שיהיה כן עם עצמו, any parent that's willing to be honest, יבחין שלא תמיד הוא מצפה את צרכיו של הילד ב-100%. You'll notice you don't always satisfy your children's needs 100%. פעמים בגלל עצלות. Sometimes it's just because of laziness. ופעמים עקב העדפה של הענאותיו על פני צרכי הילד. And sometimes it's because of your enjoyment over what the child needs. Now, Lori, you gave an example that's something that's very bsisi in terms of a need. But even more than that, parents quite often do feel the need to have alone time, to go out. That's a very healthy need, and we always tell our children, this is for your benefit. That mommy and daddy go away for a while, or whatever it is. It's because it's for you, it's good for you. And the truth is that quite often that could very well be true. But at that moment, the kid, that's not what the kid feels. The kid's need is, don't go. Don't go out. I don't want you to go out. But you choose, and for whatever the reason is, and it could even be a right reason. Nachon? It's not a blame game this year. It's just calling things out as to what they are. The kid says, no, I don't want you to go out now. I need you to stay here. And you're saying, no, you really do want me to go out because I'm going to be such a happier Abba when I come home, whatever it is. But these things, what we're pointing out is that it's not so simple that even though I love my child, and when they're helpless at the age of 4 months old, everything they need I give them, right? I mean, think about sleep training, if some of you can remember that. Sleep training is a great example. Sleep training, okay, so I know in the back of my mind, the bigger picture is, this kid needs to learn how to sleep. That's their need, even though they can't understand it right now. What does the kid need at that moment when they woke up for the 4th time and it's only like 1:15 a.m.? They need you to come in there right now. And you have to work really hard on yourself if you're in the parsha of what's going on over there. As you could obviously see where I'm still holding. To not. So it's not so simple that every time my child needs something, that's my, hey, Hashem embedded His true love into me that I have for the kid as azel. It must be that it's in me. I may as well display it. זה לא כל כך פשוט. It's not so simple. האם יש הורה, second paragraph, האם יש הורה שיכול להעיד בפה מלא? Is there any parents that could testify to what? שכאשר היה צורך לכך, that when there was a need, הוא ישב עם ילדו והשקיע בו את מירב הסבלנות הנצרכת בו? That when the child needed something and they needed extra attention or whatever it is, they invested the utmost patience that's needed for that kid? Sometimes yes, and sometimes no. האם ההורים תמיד מנתבים את התקציב של הבית על פי צרכי הילדים? Do parents always budget out what the house needs only based on what children need? או שלעיתים היצר שלהם לרכוש ארון, בגד, מכונית חדשים גובר עליהם. It's as if it's like a yetzer. It's not a yetzer, meaning it is a yetzer, but it's not saying something bad about you. Like sometimes could it be you need a new car, you need a new closet, you need new clothes, or you want new clothes even. It's not always that only what the child needs always comes first. That's what he's trying to point out over here. Even though in our minds, and like I asked in the beginning of Shiur, you would say, of course it always comes first. What's the shaila? It's not, it is a shaila. It is a question. Because it happens all the time. We're just not aware of it that happens, and it's part of the shikul dat. And guess what? That's okay also. This is not the end of the world. You have to be aware of these things. It's not the end of the world. Because in the pnimius of all pnimius, a child definitely does not want their parent to get totally lost in self-deprivation. That can't be the ratzon amiti of a child, even though it sure looks like that sometimes. That's not what they really want. Maybe a stage in life as if that looks like what they really want. Ze lo nachon. And today, the generation of children, Baruch Hashem, not so much here, but in certain societies where the world, it must be like billions of children, non-Jewish children, must have come across a certain Gemara that speaks about Noach lo la'adam shelo nivra. It would have been much more comfortable for a person had they not been created. And somehow that's like their ammunition to come back to the parents and say, no one asked you to bring me here. So if you did, get it together and make sure I have whatever I need because you did this. I didn't choose. You know what's so sad is that what I just said right now is not such a rare phenomenon. The more that you look into what's going on into the world, that tone shows up more and more. It's crazy. It's mamish crazy. And let me ask you a shayla. Is there any emes to that statement?
Yes.
Betach. Yesham nitzotz. There's some kind of spark going on in there. There's something there. It's hard to hear such words. There's something going on in there. Question is, how do I interpret it? And how do I not lose my marbles when I'm navigating my system and trying to really do my best? How do I keep it together? How do I keep it together? So he's giving another example. Oh, we kind of said this before, but he's going to say it a little bit differently. Dugma nosefet. Ha'ima yeshena balayla. It's interesting he says ha'ima. Yeah, whatever. It's a joke. I usually, you know this joke. When the baby's waking up in the middle of the night, right? Who should go up and take care of the kid? Rabot machshavot belev ish va'atzat Hashem. I'm sorry, I had to. I know. See, he kind of set me up for this over here. Dugma nosefet. Ha'ima yeshena balayla. The mother's sleeping at night. Ulefeta b'shtayim balayla tinok tzoreach. Out of nowhere, the kid is screaming. Ha'im tamid hi takum elav miyad? Will she always just get up for the kid immediately? Or she lo takum ad shetishma oto tzoreach lechol hapachot 3 פעמים? Or is she going to wait for 3 long episodes of screaming? Achen, imahot rabot yit'anu. A lot of mothers would say, שלעיתים התינוק נרגע ללא התערבות מצידה, that sometimes the baby, the child, calms themselves down without any intervention, או שהיא מעדיפה לא לקום, or she actually chooses consciously not to get up, על מנת לחנך אותו שלא יבכה בכל לילה. This is what we refer to more as sleep training. אכן כל התשובות נכונות, all the answers you may give may possibly be right. אולם לפעמים, הסיבה האמיתית היא שקשה מאוד להיפרד מהכרית בשעה כל כך לא שגרתית. He says he's trying to bring this down to this world. This is what I really connect to this sefer. He'll go very deep, but he'll also bring it down over here. What may be the reason? What may be the reason that the mother and even the father, I should add in here, won't get up?
It's hard.
Because it's hard. And Hashem knows that. Hashem knows that. האם אין הדבר נובע מעצלות? Does this not stem from laziness? What? If you call like waking up, if not wanting to leave your pillow at 2 in the morning, laziness, then yes. But yes, that is in there. Now he says over here, this is very important. I don't know why it's in brackets, but this is very interesting. בעניין זה צורך להדגיש דבר יסודי. We got to add something very fundamental here. כשם שלילד יש צרכי גוף ונפש, כך יש להורה. Remember we were saying before, child has all these physical and soulful needs, right? So a parent has that too. A parent also has needs, soul needs, body needs. ברוב המקרים ההורה אינו מסוגל ואף אינו צריך להקריב את צרכי גופו ונפשו האמיתיים עבור ילדיו. Sometimes he says, most of the time, a parent isn't able and maybe shouldn't even need to be demanded to lakriv, to sacrifice their own body and soul, their true body and soul needs for their children. Lori, I'm going to get back to you. It's a great example. Ma'inyan, who wins if chas v'shalom you start causing yourself to have some severe situations by saying, I can't go to the bathroom. I'm not going to, why? Because they need me not to. So obviously, they need you in the MS of MS. They actually need you to, and they need you to do a lot of different things. But there are certain things that he's saying over here that a parent shouldn't or isn't capable of actually saying, I'm sacrificing all of my needs right now. What could be another example? Maybe not as urgent, yeah. What would be another example? It's not as urgent. What's that?
A phone call.
Maybe a certain type of phone call, maybe, yeah.
For a meal.
Right.
I know that if I don't eat lunch before the girls come home at 2, it's gonna be 4 o'clock, I'm gonna be angry.
Angry.
In order to speak to
Yeah.
in order to speak to your child that needs to talk to you about something very important, you have to get up at 3 a.m. Because that's in America.
What to wake up at 3 a.m?
You would have to
In order to
speak
really
to your child because they need to talk to you about something.
at what time?
Right?
No,
For them,
at what
it's a
time?
regular time.
Oh, when they live in America. I didn't hear that part. I was wondering.
Right. And it's been
Yeah.
like, you're not well, or you're
Right.
sick, or there could be a reason why.
Or you just don't wanna get up at 3 o'clock in the
Right.
morning.
Right, but it could be, it could be a reason, a hardship for whatever reason.
Okay.
Could be an example.
Okay. What else? Could
I
there,
think
yeah?
we've been through 7 or 8 ultrasound visits, like X-rays in the last year. So it's hard to know, like, can you wait till after school?
Right.
So I had to come to Big Thomas to pick you up. You've broken your hand a few times. You're used to it. And it really is, like, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Like, it's, yeah.
These are real things. These are not.
No, I agree.
I think that what he's working hard on is painting a full picture of awareness. Domeret, when we want to be those perfect, that image we spoke about in the beginning of Shiur, about that type of parent, you ask the 19-year-old that's about to go on dates. So tell me something, could you imagine marrying someone that would maybe ask a child, are you sure that it's broken again? And be like, what kind of are you crazy? What kind of a person would how would I ever, I can't even imagine thinking of being with a person like that. Then that becomes you. But that's because you weren't obligated, meaning that wasn't a real mitziut in your life. When you were dreaming about that ideal world and that ideal state of parenting, that wasn't really, there wasn't a natun, that wasn't really there. It wasn't. Yeah.
So interesting how people are with their first child versus like their youngest child. It's like, oh, he's eating dirt. It's like, oh yeah, it's good for him. Like,
That's right. Nachon. We talk about that a lot. Nachon. Hopefully you just learn better over the years. Nachon. Nachon. Yetera mikach. More than that, third line over here. Hore sheyevater al tzarchav ha'ishim. A parent that will actually give up their personal needs, alul litmotet nafshit or gufanit. They may break down. They may physically break down or they may mentally break down if they've completely given up what certain basic essential needs that they have. Ulam me'idach, but on the other hand, kol hore tzarich להקריב את עצלנותו ותאוותיו למען ילדיו. But what actually does need to be sacrificed? Laziness and taivas. Laziness and taivas. So what's the avodah? To differentiate, to distinguish between a need versus atzlanut and a taiva, and that's very hard. That's a birur. Yes. In Ishbit's language, that's what's called a birur. To differentiate between a need and a taiva / yetzer / atzlanut, that's very, very, very hard. That's real avodat hanefesh. This is real tikkun amidas over here. Lo pashut. Yeah.
I think of this like the video on the airplane where it says, you put your oxygen mask on yourself first before you put it on the kids.
Yeah.
But for everybody, oxygen looks different.
That's true.
It's like what he was saying here.
Yeah.
That it's avodah hanizot, to know what somebody's, taivas might be somebody else's like actual need.
Nachon. 100%. And I don't think that's why there can't be a manual for it. In detailing what is actual taiva, what's a need. But what do you think could be the avodah to distinguish between these two things? I mean, I have a lot of different ideas, but I mean, this is something that I would be very grateful if you could share with me. What do you think would be the avodah that's needed in order to distinguish between these two things? Because it seems to me that if that's done, or if that's part of my real, like if I call myself religious and I'm in a relationship with Hashem and I'm working on myself, and that's the focus of my life, I see that I don't want to only have that the distinction between needs and taivas with parenting. I want that in every area of my life. And it will flow to every other area in your life if this becomes a very key thing in your relationship with your children. So what would be a way? What do you think? What would be a way to distinguish between the two?
Timing.
Timing.
Yeah, like if it's something that cannot be done at a different time, so that's a good way to say, is it really the need for now, or maybe you could wait an hour, wait a day, wait a...
Rebbetzin Yammer, did you hear what she said? She said, this is important because this relates to you. This is very important. She said, timing, meaning can this wait for another moment? So that's exactly it.
No.
Why?
My type of kiruv was that I'd get a phone call in the morning and tell me 25 kids who are the Columbia student a cappella band are coming for dinner. Or some Satmar Chassid used to stop by our house and sleep on the way from Kiryas to Mexico City. I have no idea what he was doing.
Wait, where were you again?
Alabama. We have no idea why he comes from. Anyway, when we get a phone call at like 1 a.m, he'd be like, hey, Rav Eitan, I'm coming tonight. And he's just like, okay, that's made for you.
Right, no, but
like,
that's other people. I'm saying with your kid calls.
Oh, yeah.
With what she's saying about timing is right. Meaning
time didn't belong to me. I had no time.
Right. No, but now I'm saying in the world of parenting, like when the kid calls again and again and again and it happens, so then the question is, can you master this art of what you're saying? Like to know when something your gut tells you this could wait, and it's not because of atzlanut. That's very good. Nachon.
Also on you, not on your child. Like if there's something that you're feeling that you need right now, and it's something that theoretically can wait an hour.
Right.
So then it puts it into perspective. What is more important?
Right. Well, then the shaila is, how do you give that over to your child?
They see it anyhow.
They see it anyhow. It's not so simple. Something goes. Listen, they see something. They see something. Giving that over to your child, that's like a whole lesson. It's a massive lesson in life. And when I was a kid, the teachers would always say, I had a lot of good experiences. This is not but one of them was like, whenever we'd ask for something, there was one teacher that said, wolf or not wolf? Yeah, wolf or not wolf? Oh, little bitter, huh? That's terrible, right? Yeah. Wolf or not wolf? I had a friend that his mother did that to him too.
I think, but also just how to see it in a healthy way.
Yeah.
A lot of, I know at least I did, I saw my parents,
Right.
and I want to make sure that my kids do see, sometimes Ima does need to sit down for a cup of coffee, or else I will yell. I need to eat food before I can take you to Chug because I haven't eaten yet today. Communication,
though, you can't rely on the fact that they're just going to see it.
No,
there's
they're
open
not.
communication.
They're not.
That it's a process that we go through.
They realize that every day. They're kids. They're in Ba'olam Shena. They're a whole world of their own. Yoni calls parents the background of their children's world. You're just figures in their movie.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
The children interpret things differently than what might happen. Like when my son was in first grade, he got banged into a wall, he needed stitches. I was in a shiur, his father was at work, and as far as he was concerned, he had to go through this operation by himself.
Right.
So we explained it to him afterwards, but I'm sure to this day, I still feel bad about it, which is my problem. But I'm still like, oh, she goes to shiurim, she doesn't care about me.
Well then, what happens is that they relate traumas to that's the whole picture. Yeah, to circumstances. Nachon.
Because you can't always be there to explain, wow.
Nachon.
The reason why I
Doesn't
didn't.
matter what we're talking about of age of the child.
Of course, it's
What
not
age
just
we're
age.
talking,
It's not just age, it's every different type, every child's so different. It's not, that's why there's no manual here. Everything has to be dealt with, there has to be a general picture of hashkafa, but in terms of the relation to each child, stemming from a certain hashkafa, from a certain outlook that falls under the same umbrella, each kid can perceive what they need, but coming from the same set of values. The hashkafa could, and that's very important, the hashkafa, the overall way I look at this whole inyan of parenting has got to have something very substantially clear and concrete. And from there, when that bigger picture is clear and concrete, then you say, and from here, this kid needs this like this like this. Yeah, Lisa.
I think the timing thing is a lot in different ways.
Yeah.
Based on what she said, but
Yeah.
also that, and I think kids can learn to this and frame it at different stages. Like, you can grasp it very young. Is that when they're freaking out about whatever, I need this right away, and obviously I can say, because I'm so much wiser and have whatever, I'm like, it's not important at all, ever, no matter what. But to say to the kid, I know this matters now, will it matter in 5 minutes, will it matter in a week, in a year, what you're fighting about, what you're begging for, what you're da-da-da. Like,
It's also very
and then
special,
they can,
yes.
They can breathe for 10
Yeah.
seconds. And then they can say, okay, I can wait 5 minutes, or
Sometimes,
you're right, I
yeah.
don't care about this licorice because I'm just going to want another one to walk. Like,
Sometimes, nachon, that if there's a child that's the way that they could hear it, that could always work. Definitely not across the board. There's some kids that just can't hear that. And you could say it with the most adinut, you could say it with such gentleness. And that's the inyan of al-pi darko, of the only way to know what this is very important, I think, that the only way to know what works for each kid is based on what the Gemara says, En adam omed al divrei Torah elam ken nechshal bahen. Meaning, a person doesn't stand on divrei Torah, they're not holding, they don't really know what to do until they fail. Chazal said this. But it doesn't mean continuously, it means you failed, you learned from there, and you said, that doesn't work for this kid. And the only way that I could have gotten to the notion of what they need is by figuring out what they don't need. And that's a very important mahalach in our, as we grow as Bezrat Hashem, better educators and better lovers of expressionally loving. This kid, actually, the too much love for that kid, being too mushy is not good. That kid, if you're not too mushy, they think you hate them. You have that too. But my need is to be mushy. So you right? But my need is to be mushy. So mi gover, whose need should be stronger? Because my need to be mushy could be mamish, a pikuach nefesh thing, so to speak, right? These things come up all the time, yeah.
I think following up on that, sometimes a way that we can discern between what's a need and what's laziness or something else is like, if we can take a moment to fast forward, like, what happens if I do this thing, or if I, like with the example he gives of sleeping, like, okay, I turn over, I got 5 more minutes of sleep, but like, then the kid screams for another 5 minutes and I have to get up anyway. I think when we can have the presence to like, just look ahead a little bit, that can help answer the question of, like, is this really something I need, or is something else going on here?
I think you need at least like 3 solid hours of sleep before you could think like that. It's a game. It's a never-ending game. When you're in it, you think it doesn't end. What's that?
One solid shiur.
I don't know if that was the situation. So, what he said over here, we got into this. You could think about this as well. There's a lot to say about this inyan of pointing out, like discerning between a need and a taiva or atzlanut. He says when that becomes the mahalach that I'm with my children, look at the last line in the brackets here, be'omek yoter, la'achar miken alav la'akriv et atzmo leman knesset Yisrael kula. Deeply, after you go through this, and the diuk here is la'achar miken, and many spiritual leaders and great rabbis fell in the cracks with this one. La'achar miken, alav la'akriv et atzmo leman knesset Yisrael kula. Then they must sacrifice themselves for Knesset Yisrael, for the bigger picture. I don't know why I thought about him this morning during davening, but I once read an article or I saw an interview with a very, very close family friend of ours, Rabbi Avi Weiss, where he speaks about the aftermath of raising the children in a home that, if those of you that remember Rabbi Avi in the 80s, 70s, 80s, and by 90s I don't remember so much, but even let's say 90s, the activism was like the forefront of everything that was going on in the world. He was at every rally. He was doing things like Knesset, like real hakrava leman Am Yisrael. All that, constantly. But he also, I don't know when exactly he became aware that it was on the cheshbon of the child feeling like he was makriv himself for his children. He speaks about this openly. I forget. I think there was this amazing series called Profiles of Faith. I don't know if you ever saw it online, done by not a rabbi, great guy, Solly Foger. You should check it out. I think it's called Profiles of Faith. They had a lot of really great teachers. My Rosh Hashiva, Reb Raviner's on there, Rabbi Riskin's on there. A lot of great people are on there. And here he writes it out very clearly. And I very much relate to this and constantly am in check with this, that you could have a lot of really amazing things you want to do for Am Yisrael, and they could be really holy, really, really holy. And even in that world of doing big things for Am Yisrael, you have to distinguish between what's a need, what does the Am need now, or what is it, a little bishtikol like a taiva to do because it's so big and cool and awesome and publicity. It's gewalt. The way to know how to do those things for the Knesset Yisrael can only come after that became something that you really are holding at home. Okay, next, a little bit more. You're good with a few more minutes? Okay. האם יש הורה שיכול להעיד על עצמו שהוא לא הרים את קולו אפילו פעם אחת בבית? ולחילופין. Sorry, that means, I forget, I'm going to translate this. Is there a parent that could say about themselves they never, ever raised their voice in the house? And on the other hand, האם ניתן לומר שבכל פעם שהרמנו את הטון בבית, המטרה הייתה נטו לשם חינוך, ולא ממידת כעס פנימית שפרצה החוצה? And can we also say that every single time that we ended up raising our voice at home, the sole reason for it was only chinuch and not at all because of any anger that was raging? אכן ברור הדבר, שאין הכוונה חלילה שההורים תמיד מתעצלים ואינם דואגים לילדיהם. אולם אין להכחיש שלעיתים קורה שנכשלים בכך. He wants us to be very real and aware and present with what is normally, generally speaking, naturally happening, even if you went to every parenting shiur in your life and you wrote 5 svarim on parenting. These things can happen to you because you're a work in progress. You're also trying to figure yourself out. And that's constantly hopefully, that's constantly evolving as well. המקרים והדוגמאות בזה משתנים מאדם לאדם. אולם הם קיימים בכל רובד החיים, וכל אחד מההורים שיבדוק את עצמו ימצא שעם כל ההשקעה המרובה שלו בילדיו, any honest parent will do this gut check and will see despite all the investment, all the investing that I put into my children, למרות זאת, nonetheless, ישנם מקרים, there are situations, this is by most people, you do find once in a while that like fairy tale mama. It does happen once in a blue moon. But generally speaking, he says, למרות זאת ישנם מקרים בהם הרצונות והמאהבים שלו גורבים על צורכיהם. That the מאהבים over here comes from the word ivui, which means also a desire. Where what you want, what you need, overpowers what the child needs at that moment. It happens. It's not completely out there. One more paragraph. נמצא שמחד, נמצא שמחד לא קיים ההורה שכלל אינו אוהב את ילדיו. There's no such thing as a parent that doesn't love They're children. Even, what's crazy is that even as we've seen, like people that didn't even know they're the parent, the father of someone, they'll meet the child at the age of 35 or something, and something gets triggered. There's something gets triggered, right? There's this love that gets triggered. You can't explain it. It doesn't make any sense. יש שם משהו. ומאידך, on the other hand, אין הורה שיוכל להעיד שהאהבה שלו לילדיו היא מושלמת. ונקייה לחלוטין מנגיעות אישיות. There's no parent that could say that the love they have for their children is complete and perfect and completely clean from any personal, I don't know how you would say, negiot ishiyot. Personal motives, not motives, but that doesn't have a shtickle like me in there. That it's nothing to do with me. דבר זה הוא טבעי לחלוטין. This is natural. Why? מכיוון שכך הקדוש ברוך הוא יצר את האדם. This is how God created man. ודבר מצוי הוא שלכל אדם יש נגיעות אישיות כלפי החברה. It's a very common thing that a person has these negiot. We gotta find the word for this.
Motive?
Matters.
Yeah, probably like personals matters in society. Sorry?
Attachments?
Yeah, some kind of negia means like, for instance.
It's like masopanim, like if you're judging two people and you have an Indian with one.
So I was gonna say, like someone asked me last night, what do you think about this situation that's happening? I said, I can't comment on it. Why? Nogea badavar. So you understand? So I'm nogea badavar, which means I have some kind, I guess attachment could be connected. Sorry? What'd you say, Eva?
It's like you have some kind of skin in it.
I have some kind of skin in it, like even if I'm not aware of it. Yeah, I have I'm not like, and it's true, like when it comes to Dayanos, it's got to be something completely removed. Sorry?
Bias.
Could be. All these words are right. And negia badavar, but he's saying over here, Hashem created you like this, that you're negia badavar just by the fact that you exist, and just by the fact that you're in a room right now. Look, let's be like brutally honest. I'm not negia badavar by the way that I teach and what I choose to teach. Of course I am, but that's not that's not like necessarily a bad thing. It's just trying to find a way to connect to what's in front of me. But it's still a negia. So he's saying over here, parents can't ever say, I have no negiot badavar. Everything that's happening with me and my child is absolutely 1,000,000% only about them. It's not that's not the Metziut either. Negiot.
He says personally involved.
Okay. That works. ודבר מצוי הוא שלכל אדם יש נגיעות אישיות כלפי החברה, נגיעות כלפי בן או בת הזוג, ואף נגיעות כלפי ילדיו. אכן, ההעדפה האישית אינה שווה אצל כל אדם. אולם ברובד מסוים היא קיימת אצל כל אחד, במינון ובאופן שונה, very much connected to what we said before about preferences, and this child versus that child, that friend versus this friend, we all function differently. What interests me most is what we're going to be learning next week. What's the avodah? Now that we've distinguished this, now that we've pointed this out, this very important piece of the puzzle, so it's great. I could walk out of the shiur and say, I'm not the worst parent in the world. But no one wants to, no, that's not the goal of this. Hopefully that's not the goal of any like real shiur, just to say I'm probably not the worst person in the world. I'm not the worst parent. Like we actually want it to be, but I know that I have what I need to give being the best parent my greatest shot. Yeah, Marilyn.
So it's also I wanted to say this earlier, but it's a generational thing because in my generation, self-care for moms translated more like selfish moms. So what's acceptable for the next generation was less acceptable for ours, so it's even hard for me to see it and move on.
Yeah.
But so you're also in that point where how much can you do for your child, and you feel very bad when you cannot give them everything they need. And one time ago I was in a shiur from Rebbetzin Heller, And she said, if you do your utmost, like not, oh, I just need to sit here, but you really do your utmost and you really cannot be there for that child at that time, then you weren't supposed to. And somebody else, Hashem decided, would be there for that child, or they had to deal with it themselves, but that doesn't answer the question of the balance between how much can I do, which is so it's kind of a personal thing. But finding that.
But you think it's this way I understand. Some people would say it was much better back then. Do you think it's better now? Selfish, meaning that it's defined.
I think no. Well, first of all, we have a wonderful generation in our.
Yeah.
Where I'm sitting, in my view, so they're fine. I'm not interested in what's going on in the rest of the world. I think within our own reality, what's happened with the next generation is positive.
Yeah.
So, but it is a generational thing.
100%. Betach. So often my father would tell me, I mean, my father, my Abba, not in an angry way, he would just say, he would hear what I would say or friends would say, and he was so, in his root neshama, so old school European, and always be like, אתה יודע מה היה קורה אם אני הייתי אומר את זה לאבא שלי? Right? You ever hear that line? Anyone ever hear that line? Do you know what would happen if I would say this to my friend? Oh, you've said it? You yourself had said it? Right, so the kid would then, whatever, this is going to, just take this, okay, please, it's because we all do this, like, I probably have said it too. And then that kid may have one day the chutzpah or the ratzon to say, and the kid in you, would you have experienced, what would that be for you? Right. Interesting stuff. Bezrat Hashem will continue this next week.